The What It Takes Radio Company presents one of our premier programs. It is the Interesting Ideas Podcast. And today, what if life is not a journey? What if it's a train wreck? Let's see where that's going to lead. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we're live on the air. But of course, this is a little bit later as you see it because we are now on personal on-demand radio. You can listen to it anytime you want. You don't just have to listen to it when it's on the radio. And you can listen to it anywhere in the world. And you can listen to it on almost any kind of electronic device that it's around. Very different today. But we are here on new radio, modern radio, the podcast, personal on-demand broadcasting system. And our program is Interesting Ideas. I'm Stan, the radio man. And today I'm going to try and jump into an interesting conversation with myself and maybe with you that might help us because we are in crazy times to perhaps live life with a little bit more confidence, perhaps a little greater clarity, and the ability to make, perhaps maybe a little better version of ourselves and our life than we have at the moment. And you saw the title? Yes, that's the title. What if life is not a journey? What if it's a train wreck? I'm Stan Houston. Let's see if we can kind of figure what that means and see if it's helpful to you and me. Hey, the program begins right now. Well, of course, we've all heard the line, life is not a destination, it's a journey. And of course, that's what we use all the time now. It used to be that a journey was something you actually did. You got on the train, you got on the airplane and got in the car, or maybe you put on your walking shoes and you went from place A to another place B. And that was your journey. But now, of course, we have used the term journey to mean almost anything, Your career is a journey. Your work experience is a journey, Your entire life is a journey. And recently, an artist and an author, when they're doing good work, is an artist because they help us paint pictures and perhaps talk about some things that get us emotionally involved. Lisa Miller says, when did we make everything into a journey? And could it be that perhaps we should think of it differently? Here we go. What if, as my friend Sam Bush, and I don't know him, but I like him because I love the article where he wrote a review saying just exactly that in Mockingbird, love the title, Mockingbird Magazine, a unique organization for business men and women of faith, and it said, what if it's a train wreck? Have you ever seen a train wreck? I actually saw one time, and that's really scary. And of course, you ever see the result of a train wreck, that's it. Have you ever been in a wreck? Well, yeah. Now, one of the fun things, oftentimes, it's interesting. I work a lot. I produce podcasts with What It Takes Radio in the Western genre. And we have 4 or 5 different podcasts that are basically cowboy related. And we're starting a new one with one of the top, Randy Helm, who is a leader of the Cowboy Church Ministry. And he will guarantee you that guess what might happen if you're a cowboy? You will have, and they love to talk about it, horse wrecks. That's when you're on a horse and you have a wreck. And it can be quite serious. You're going along riding a horse at maybe 20, 30 miles an hour, and something happens and you go down or whatever. A horse wreck. And sometimes it can be quite serious. And of course, basically, the entire sport of rodeo is putting talented, primarily men, but there are a lot of women who also participate on a horse, and they see how long they can last before they get wrecked off. And hopefully, they're still going to be safe. It's dangerous. Uh, Wrecks are dangerous. Now, I was thinking about that, and what you might want to do with me right now is let's do a survey, just kind of a little bit of an audit. What are some of the train wrecks that you may have had in your life? I mean, it was a serious wreck. Now, yesterday I talked about the gentleman who founded, this was the anniversary of the founding of Alcoholics Anonymous, and eventually it came due to the fact that two men had made a train wreck of their lives. What do they do now? What do they do now? How did they get there? How can they get out there? How can they repair the wreck? How can they get back, maybe on a better journey, if you still want to use that metaphor? So I oftentimes say, perhaps we need to think about life as it really does happen to us, is that in effect, the train wrecks are going to happen. People who know me as a business coach know that Stan has a saying which goes something like this: remember, adversity is part of the plan. Adversity is part of the plan. And what we are discovering, particularly those of us who are looking at the way the world works, is oftentimes what really happens. Greatness oftentimes comes not from when it all comes together, when I love it when a plan comes together. Oftentimes life happens. John Lennon, who certainly knew, he said, life is what happens while you're making other plans. Yeah, maybe there's some great courage in understanding that what was called the heroic journey. There's a lot of work being done right now on the hero's journey. I'm sure some of you are reading about it. Well, whether that's the Odyssey or Homer or wherever. But the truth is that those were lives that were fashioned and formed out of train wrecks, out of wrecks. Yeah. I just want us on this Tuesday, perhaps, because what is happening in our world today is we are seeing a world of train wrecks, politically, perhaps economically, certainly socially and relationally. We are in the business of trying to find somebody who can be a good tow truck driver. And I have a wonderful metaphor for that. A few years ago, we were returning from Minnesota to our home in Arizona, and everything had gone well, and we'd had a reasonably new car, so we felt better about this trip than we had on our old one, which had caused us a lot of, it was a bad journey. And as we pulled ahead in the street in Colorado Springs, all of a sudden, a lady wasn't paying attention and smashed into our car. Oh my. Well, we looked at it, and no, we can't drive it. sometimes you get banged into, got a bump, and then you could say, well, I can at least get it back to Arizona and talk to my dealer then. But no, I couldn't. So there we are, Colorado Springs, still a good maybe 1,000 miles away from our destination, and our car. What do we do? Well, of course, we called AAA, and the tow truck driver came out, and he was a pleasant gentleman. And it turns out that the conversation, and turns out that he, like us, shared a certain faith and optimism about our lives. And then he told a little bit about what his wife did and what he did. And it turns out that he's a very well-educated man, and his wife is, a college professor, and he's driving a tow truck. And so I just simply asked him, I said, what brought you to doing this? And he said, oh, Stan, you have to understand, I could have a lot of jobs, a lot of good jobs. And I do have other things I do, but I like to do this job. And I said, well, why do you like it? He says, Stan, because every person I'm helping is in trouble. Every client, every customer is in trouble. They've had a wreck. Something has gone wrong. And I want to be the person who's there to help them do better in the midst of one of the wrecks of life. Noble calling. So let me just ask you this question right now. Do you have a strategy, a protocol, a way of faith and understanding that will help you deal with the train wrecks? Have you had a few? And so as a result of that, sometimes you know what to do. I would ask you to think about that. And do you have a way, perhaps, of being a good tow truck driver, maybe a good, first responder to people whose lives and businesses have suffered through train wrecks? One of the things I love about the cowboy experience, particularly at the ranch in Arizona, where I oftentimes do a lot of my work, they simply say this, here's how they do it. They say, chess is a game, tennis is a sport, but riding a horse is an adventure. Yeah. An adventure means you may not know what's going to happen. Or as one of a wonderful young woman said to me, who was raised as a cowgirl, she said, yeah, I've participated in a number of sports, but when I ride a horse, it's like the ball has a mind of its own. You never quite know what's going to happen. Risk, R-I-S-K, as we say, is the 4-letter word for life. Hey, there we go. Thank you for your time. Could it be that life is not necessarily a journey? Could be an adventure. Could be an experiment. It could be a number of things. But undoubtedly, there will be a few wrecks from time to time. And in the midst of that situation, how do you try and live your life with courage, confidence, purpose, poise, and power in the midst of a world where there are always going to be a few wrecks? Just let that sit on your head for a while and tell me what you think. I'm Stan Houston. Thank you for joining me for Interesting Ideas. Please reach out to me because I probably can help you with some of your projects. Our coaching, our radio broadcasting, and particularly the ability to help you build a business and build your own radio program, tell your own story, perhaps to make it in the marketplace and make more money. Those are the things we do, and we do them quite well. Tell me what your story is, and maybe I can help you. StanHouston@gmail.com, StanHouston@gmail.com. Let's move forward with more interesting ideas how we can live better right now, starting now, in a world full of more than a few wrecks from time to time. Best and blessings on your, no, on whatever you're into now, on your life adventure. Happy trails to you. Bye for now.